Welcome to the Gaming Coffee Club podcast, your weekly PlayStation news roundup. All the best news in one place where you can just chill out with your coffee and relax. We have got a bunch of good news for you, so grab your official Coffee Club mug using the merch shelf down below or head to purepsx.com as we discuss the PS6 and the PS6 handheld on track still for next year. Who would have thought that? We've got big updates rolling out to the PlayStation 5 Pro. One of the best ways to play your games via remote play, which isn't the Portal, is getting even better. And we've also got some bad news about pricing of digital games from the PlayStation Store, which has got people outraged, and quite rightfully so. And also the PlayStation Plus games for March have dropped. So let's get straight into it. No messing about with some quick news stories, and then we'll get into some hardware news and then some game news. First off, the free DLC for Ghost of Yotei has dropped and it is getting rave reviews, which is really, really good to see. And there's a lot of praise coming for this DLC, in particular with how the studio has handled it, because it is free. And a lot of people online have been saying we need to give Sucker Punch some praise for this, because a lot of other studios may have charged you like £30 or $30 for this. So this is awesome to see. A lot of people are downloading this. If you already own the base game, you can download it right now. And in particular, there's this tweet from Mighty Keith, which is getting a lot of traction on Twitter. And it says, "We criticize game companies when they fuck up, and we should also praise companies when they do good. Ghost of Yotei's Legend Mode DLC is absolutely insane, especially for being free. This would have easily been a $30 DLC by most studios." So there you go, we had to mention it. Big props to Sucker Punch for delivering the goods for free for existing owners. Hopefully we see more of this in the future, or just even better, I wish all these things were just included at launch and we didn't need any DLC at all. If you're curious to check this out yourself and you don't know what it's all about, it is a co-op multiplayer game mode, which is free for all, as we've said, for everyone. And it has 3 modes. There's survival, where you can team up with 3 other players to take down waves of increasingly difficult enemies. Story mode, team up with another player to tackle a series of 12 missions. That reminds me of like the special ops missions back in the day in Call of Duty, if any of you remember them. And then there's incursion. Upon completing each set of 3 story missions, you'll unlock a large-scale 4-player assault on a stronghold belonging to a member of the Yotei 6. So this does sound awesome. I am very happy this is doing well, and Ghost of Yotei seems to be doing well. So let me know if you've checked this out, because I've not got onto this yet. I've not even finished Ghost of Tsushima yet. I need to finish that off. My backlog is ridiculous. If you are hoping for light gun games to make a return someday in the near future, like I am, because they're just an absolute blast and quick to play, we have got some exciting news here, and that is that Resident Evil 2, the remake of the awesome Resident Evil 2 game from back in the day, is getting a light gun game. Yes, this is real. Resident Evil 2 Arcade. That is good news and also bad news, because it's an arcade game. I can't wait to check this out. If I see this in an arcade, it will be an absolute blast, literally. It just makes me long for games like this to come to home console. Please give us a light gun. Sony, that would be amazing. I would absolutely pick this up day one. Would you pick this up and play this on your console? I think it would be amazing. I love on-the-rail shooter games just like this. This cabinet is sounding next level also. I don't know if the guns have that amazing, satisfying kickback feel which the Time Crisis guns had back in the day in the arcade. Fingers crossed they do, because this is also from Bandai Namco. However, it does have some really cool features like 3D audio, floor vibration, and air blasts. I don't know what the air blasts are. Does that mean it's from the gun or from the enemies on screen? I'm not sure, but I'm very, very hyped to try this out. Apparently this is going to launch in Japan later this month, and fingers crossed it goes global. We need to play this. Hopefully this is a massive success and developers and publishers start thinking about, maybe light gun games would be the answer to some of our problems. that being games being so expensive to develop for. Light gun games are on-the-rail shooters. They're usually not that long, you know. This could really help plug the gap for games in between a lot of these bigger projects, I think. I'd be really excited about this. I would absolutely buy this. Do you think light gun games should return to modern consoles? Sound off in the comments. Now, there's 10 games being removed from PS4 and PS5 in March and April that you need to be aware of so you can pick these up before they disappear from digital storefronts from ever. And I'm going to round them off so you can then go onto the PlayStation Store and pick them up if you want. So first off, this one's a little bit different, but it is Jurassic Park Classic Games Collection. I say it's a little bit different because this is proper old school retro games, as you can see on the screen right now. If you're watching this on YouTube or on Spotify, I've just got this in the background while I go through this list. It's legit proper old school 8-bit gaming. Does look fun. If you're a big fan of the franchise, well worth checking it out. Once this is delisted, it's gone forever. You can't get access to it. If you do buy it now though, you'll always be able to download it in the future. Then we've got the finals, which is going offline on PS4. It's going to be PS5 only. WBSCE Baseball Power Pros online services are being disabled for PS4 as well. Big move here from PS4 to PS5, which is interesting. WWE 2K24, the online services are being switched off for that on PS5 and PS4. Zombie Army VR for PSVR 2, online services are being disabled on the 31st of March. Tower of Fantasy is being delisted on the 7th of April for PS4. So you need to play that on PS5. Same for Genshin Impact. On the 8th of April, its online services are being disabled for PS4. Then we've got Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. Online services are being disabled on the 20th of April for PS4. Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt. Online services are being disabled on the 28th of April. And King of Meat for PS5. I've never heard of that. 9th of April, its online services are being disabled. So if I had to give you a pick here, right away, Jurassic Park Classics Game Collection. Go and pick it up, people. Get a classic before it disappears forever. Now we've got that quick news out the way, let's get on to some PlayStation hardware news. We are over at Notebook Check, which is reporting that the PlayStation 6 and the PlayStation handheld are still on track for holiday 2027, according to various leakers. So the big part we want to zoom in on here, that is, according to a new claim from industry leaker Kepler L2, both the PlayStation 6 and the Sony's rumoured PlayStation handheld are still targeting holiday 2027 release window. The claim was shared during a discussion on the NeoGAF forums, where the leaker suggested that the timeline has not changed despite the current market conditions, which is like this memory crisis where AI is hoovering up all the memory, storage memory, all the RAM, and then all these tariffs that are being implemented all over the world. So the plan still seems to be for holiday 2027. So we've got about a year and a half or more, and then next gen consoles arriving. I'm excited for this new handheld because I feel we've not had anything like that from since the Vita, but this does seem really soon for the console. I feel like the PS5, and I have a PS5 Pro as well, is just like getting into its stride, and then a new console. I can see a lot of people sticking with their PS5s and their PS5 Pros, especially if this thing is mega expensive, which fingers crossed it's not, but don't be surprised if this new console and the handheld are round about $800 each. It's just wild. The article also says this is interesting because a previous report from Bloomberg indicated that the company was considering pushing the launch of the next PlayStation console to 2028 or even 2029 due to the ongoing memory shortage. However, Kepler L2 claims that Sony and Microsoft are still aiming for the same time frame for the PlayStation handheld, PS6 and Project Helix. This information also lines up with a previous report from Moore's Law is Dead, who said that Sony is unlikely to delay the next PlayStation console too far into the future as delaying the console could actually end up costing the company more money than launching it on time. He mentioned the console would almost certainly launch in 2027, with early 2028 being the latest realistic window rather than 2029. And what they mean thereby it costing them more to delay it than launching it on time is they've got contracts with these big suppliers for the hardware for these systems, and if they move the dates out, I guess that constitutes some sort of breach of contract, or there's penalties for moving the dates, which would cost Sony a lot of money, and they wouldn't actually be then in a position to sell anything versus selling it at a more expensive price, which unfortunately, you know, they'd probably pass on to us gamers to pick up the bill, or maybe they would swallow some of the price themselves to get the hardware out there at a decent price point, and then try and claw back some of that via, you know, game sales, game prices, via PS Plus. You better believe they'll raise the price on PlayStation Plus again, and then other features as well, maybe accessories and stuff like that. But this is good news if you're excited for new hardware. I'm excited for the handheld, the actual new console itself. I wouldn't mind if it was delayed to 2028 or 2029. I do love new gadgets, and you know I'd be picking these up, as I just couldn't help myself. I just love getting new gadgets and new hardware. But I don't feel like I'm missing anything with the PS5. My main things I play on is the PS5 Pro and my Portal. I don't feel like I'm missing anything just now with the PS5 Pro. I feel like developers could still get a heck of a lot more out of it than they already are. Some of the games which do look amazing are just absolutely spectacular. I'm happy with visuals we had on the PS3 and Xbox 360 era. I'd rather the game was really good than it just looking really good, because I mean, if a game looks amazing but it's absolute garbage, it doesn't make a difference. It's about the experience, the storytelling, you know, the gameplay loop. All of these things are way more important than the visuals. So who knows if there's anything else they're going to do with the PlayStation 6 experience which makes it stand out or differentiate it from the PS5. But I think this is genuinely a bit of a hard sell right now, especially given the state of the world with the price of everything going crazy. People's disposable income for buying, you know, fun things and treats like this is diminishing. So I don't know what Sony's got up their sleeve, and if they go and release a PS6 home console and a handheld at the same time, they're also possibly cannibalizing their own sales, because people will probably only be able to pick or afford one unless they're lucky and in a position to buy both, if they want both, that is, or they might want neither because they're happy with their PS5. Lots of interesting things on the horizon with new hardware. So let me know what you think about this. Do you think Sony would be cool with delaying it? I think a lot of you would be. But then there's the other factor of Xbox with this Project Helix, which is basically a gaming PC. Xbox is just bowing out of the console, the legit, you know, dedicated console world now, and is going full PC, it looks like. Is that maybe twisting Sony's arm a little bit as well, because they don't want to have, you know, this Xbox branded PC out there, which is going to be more powerful than the PlayStation and so on and so forth? I know that doesn't really matter, because the Series X, when it launched, was more powerful than the PS5. That didn't end up making any noticeable difference. And the hardware, you know, jumps these days between generations doesn't seem to make that much difference visually, especially with all the upscaling and stuff like that. Sounding like the Xbox Project Helix will be more powerful than the PS6. It will also be a lot more expensive. But are you going to actually notice it, you know, naked eye, without, you know, pixel peeping and zooming right in and doing detailed analysis like Digital Foundry style? Possibly not. So I'm curious to see what happens here. Let's see what happens with the dates. I will just say I'm cool with the PS5 Pro right now. I'm really happy with it. It's an amazing device. I would be excited to get my hands on the handheld though, sooner rather than later. Holiday 2027 for the handheld launch. That sounds good to me. and then further down the line, maybe get a new PS6 home console. That sounds like the best option to me, but let me know what you think down below. Are you interested in any of these, or would you just want to stick with your PS5? We have got some exciting news for PlayStation 5 Pro owners. This has just dropped on the PlayStation blog, and that is that the upgraded version of PSSR, which is, I always get this wrong, PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. I think that's the right way. PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. Yes, I got it right for once. Basically, that is their AI upscaling tech on the PlayStation 5 Pro, and it is now rolling out to a whole bunch of other titles. Initially, this was launched and I guess kind of teased with Resident Evil Requiem, and people were saying it makes the game look spectacular. It's the best way to play the game in terms of on a console. Obviously, if you have an absolutely maxed out PC, it can, do even better things with the visuals. But in terms of home consoles, this was the way to play the game. And now it's rolling out to a whole bunch of other games, in particular one which excites me because I've got it on my backlog and I think I'm going to play it next once I finish Expedition 33, and that is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is getting this treatment. So we've got a little bit of blurb here, and it says here, improved PSSR can also be enabled for existing supported games via PS5 Pro's optional system setting, which they kind of give us a little screenshot down here showing you what to do. And yeah, go into screen and video settings and enhance PSSR image quality, and you can also click it on for apply to unsupported games. So just fire this on, see what happens. The result will vary based on the game, so some will look a lot better than others, but it's cool the examples they've given us here. One thing is they have given us a video to demonstrate this, and it's from, is it Silent Hill F, I think it was. First, we're happy to share two of Konami's titles, Silent Hill 2 and Silent Hill F, are upgrading using the new technology to great effect. Now, that's cool, but the video they picked to show the difference, they could have picked a better video. You'll see what I mean. Check this out. So this is the 4K video feed here on YouTube. The left is the original PSSR and the right is new PSSR. As soon as I saw this, what sprung to mind was that, meme of, it's the same thing. They're the same image. Like, there's really not a lot of difference. The house in the background is a little bit more covered in like smoke or fog on the left hand side. The right side is a little bit clearer, but definitely not worth the amount, of a purchase price between a PS5 Pro and the PS5 standard console to warrant a purchase to say, I want it just for this new PSSR. The footage we saw previously for Resident Evil Requiem, that looked a lot more impressive than this clip they've picked. So I don't know why they've picked this. They have anyway. I'm sure Digital Foundry will dissect everything to do with this. So if you like that really detailed, deep dive type video, I enjoy watching them, check out their channel. I guarantee they will have a massive breakdown on all this. But this is coming to a whole bunch of other games. What other games can we look forward to this on? Let's check them out right now. So we already mentioned Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill F. We've got a post here as well that Electronic Arts are rolling out to Dragon Age the Veilguard. And then we've got, so Alan Wake 2 and Control, this will be Remedy. Yep, Remedy Entertainment. So Control was a stunning looking game, and back in the day, lots of tech outlets would use this for benchmarking and testing, their graphics cards. I'm excited to see what this looks like with the new PSSR update. I've not finished this game. I do own this on PS5. Now with a PS5 Pro update, it is going to look incredible. One game as well, I don't know if they've mentioned it here. So there we go, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. One game which is getting a PS5 Pro update on the back of this, which is really exciting to hear about, is actually Cyberpunk 2077. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. At the bottom of this post, it says, in addition to the titles above, Crimson Desert is also adopting the new PSSR when it launches on March 19th. We'll talk about Crimson Desert later on, because there's something a little bit controversial going on there, so stay tuned for that. And then we've got Assassin's Creed Shadows getting this PSSR update, Cyberpunk 2077 also. This is great news if you're a PS5 Pro owner. I'm excited for them to drop more enhancements into this console to hopefully make more of a difference between the PS5 Pro and the base model. The thing that I've noticed most is when you play certain games, you know, it's 60 FPS versus maybe 30 or 40 on the standard console. It does look spectacular and makes a big difference. But this, with better image clarity, is nice to see it's rolling out to more games. So fingers crossed we get even more games added, and I'm excited to see the Cyberpunk update on this because that's already a spectacular looking game as well. Will you be checking this out with any of these games? Let me know in the comments. Now, one of the best ways to play your PlayStation games via remote play is getting even better. And this is PX Play. It used to be called PS Play. That's what it was called when I first downloaded it. And I use this on my Absolute One and Absolute One Pro streaming handhelds. Now, why is this better? Well, it gives you a lot more control than the standard PlayStation Remote Play app does, and a lot more configurability than the PlayStation Portal does with its kind of lockdown setup right now. So this is really cool to see, and hopefully give Sony a bit of a nudge to add more of these features to the PlayStation Portal, which would be really nice. So this post on Reddit details everything which is coming to the app for Windows, Mac and Linux, and also they will eventually, I'm sure, roll it out to Android and iOS. It's Android I use this on my Absolute handhelds. But what is so good about this? What is available in this 2.0 update? Well, the big things is support for 4K video, which is awesome. Dramatically reduced latency. Everyone talks about latency with streaming games, so this is a really nice to see. And decreased CPU overhead, which basically means it is using less power from your hardware to get this even better output, which is just awesome, with a lot of people commenting on this update saying it is just amazing, it's remarkable, literally just tons of positives. So I'm hoping that some of these updates make their way to the Android version, which I've got, and then to iOS, which I recommend you check out as well on your phone if you've got an Android or an Apple phone. And then hopefully this nudges Sony to give us some more configuration settings on the PlayStation Portal, which is pretty, you know, kind of locked down just now. But that would be nice. This is a big win for anyone who uses PX Play. Go and check it out. It's not free, unfortunately. You do need to pay for it. I think when I bought it, it was like from the Android store, I think it was like £6 or £7. I bought this a couple of years ago. I don't know if it's free on PC or anything like that, but if you want a really good app for remote play, this one's well worth checking out. We spoke about the PlayStation Hyperpop collection previously on the channel because it looked freaking awesome, and now we can actually see what it looks like in the flesh. This has been released. I love the red, blue and green colours they've picked here. However, it's not all good. I'm a little bit disappointed. So for one reason, you cannot get this for the OG PlayStation Fat console, which I've got, and you cannot get these for the PlayStation 5 Pro console, which is super annoying. So it's basically the slim model. You can pick up these colorway of covers for. The controllers obviously will work with them all, but if you want it to match, which you obviously would, you're going to be out of luck unless someone else starts making some of these, you know, which look very similar for these other devices. And then the real life images from SpawnPoint here, who's posted them on to his Twitter. I was a little bit disappointed. I don't think these Hyperpop collection really pop as much as they do in the ad pictures. So the red one was my favourite, and in the advertisement photos and videos, it looked really vibrant red, as did, you know, the other controller colours, which we see in this photo where he's holding all three of them, and they look a lot duller and a lot less vibrant than they do in the advertisements, which is so annoying. I thought the green one was almost like a kind of neon, like really bright. Maybe it's the lighting in this photo he's taken. I don't know, but I think it doesn't look as good as all the advertisements, which is kind of annoying. I do still really like the red. I don't know if it's a glossy fingerprint magnet. In particular, the top half of the cover does look quite glossy, as does the controller. That might get kind of slippy if you have sweaty hands during a intense video game session, so keep that in mind, people. They do still look really cool, and it does make me wish we would maybe get some cool colorways for other hardware like this. I think a PlayStation Portal would look pretty freaking cool in these colors, or maybe the handheld when it launches, give us that in other colors, or the PlayStation Portal OLED when that launches, because I don't want to own even more Portals when it's the exact same device. These colors though, they do look cool, not as bright as I would hoped. Which is your favorite? I'm still going for the red colorway. I think a lot of you will pick the blue, and I don't think many of you will pick the green. Sound off in the comments, people. Will you be picking them up? They're live now. Go and buy them and enjoy them. Now for our Gaming Coffee Club question of the week, where we've had 1,000 votes. So thank you very much for everyone who voted and commented on this question. And it was, looking ahead to 2027, the rumour mill is already spinning about what Sony is cooking up next. Which piece of hardware are you most interested in hearing about? The PlayStation 6, the Portal OLED, or a new PlayStation handheld that plays games natively? And wow, 17% said the new PS6 console. A whopping 69% of you said the new PlayStation handheld, and 14% of you said Portal OLED. Wow. Now, this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier on in the show, where I'm really excited about the new handheld the most. I would like to see that soon. The rest, can wait. And a lot of you are saying very similar things. So we've got here Errol saying, honestly, I'm thinking about getting all three, PlayStation and PlayStation Portal OLED for home use, and the new PlayStation handheld for when I'm traveling. Definitely getting all three. There we go. A lot of love for the PlayStation devices here, which is awesome to see. That's from Poseidon. And then we've got Joseph saying, I like handhelds. Don't mind a streaming handheld, though a dedicated native handheld would be good, especially for Wolverine and GTA 6 on the go, especially at places that typically don't have Wi-Fi like planes. The only problem with streaming games for me is most public Wi-Fis are bad. I agree, Joseph. Imagine this PlayStation handheld drops and it's the only place you can play GTA 6 handheld on the go. It's going to be huge. Like, lots of love for it here. There's actually a ton of comments here. I can't go through them all. I'd be talking about this for ages. We've got here DT Gaming saying new PlayStation handheld coming, but I agree with many others. There should be an all of the above answer. That's what a few people have been saying. They want all of them. And then obviously we need to talk channel members. If you respond, obviously you get priority responses. We love you very much. Greg saying, we know the PlayStation 6 is still a ways out, so let me see more about a Portal OLED, an upgraded Portal that still remote connects to my PS5, plays in my library of games, and can operate independently, all while boosting performance and graphics. I'm a simple guy. Loving the emojis there, Greg. I appreciate you, buddy. And I'm loving the trophy next to your name. 3 months. You're moving up the trophy ranking, people. Make sure you click that join button under the channel to join and get some cool trophies next to your name and a whole bunch of other perks. And then we've got here, I really don't get the need for a new handheld when we can play everything PS5 on our Portal. Who wants to pay for cartridges again? Crazy to me. Everyone's different. I totally agree, Sloppy, but I would love for this new PlayStation handheld to support physical games. I don't know if I'll be that lucky, but I would love that. I'm all about physical games. Digital only games is just a fast track to a bad future, which we don't want, people. And we'll be talking about something very soon about digital games in the PlayStation Store, which people are not happy about. So everyone, thank you all of you for responding. I just picked out a few questions here. Much love to you all. I've just seen this. It's caught my eye. Newbie Gamer Dad here. D'Angelo, welcome, buddy. And congrats on being a dad. PS5 for a year now. I literally have endless games to play. Everything is new to me. I love the Portal with the cloud and it works great connecting to console too. Sony has made the Portal a lot better with updates since I bought it. May of last year, over 1,700 hours on it, all remote play, brilliant. The left stick is wearing out. I play my Portal so much. Oh geez, yeah, we need that Portal Pro with detachable thumbsticks so we can replace them for sure, because my Portal, where is it? It's sitting over there behind me. Well, one of my Portals, its stick is gubbed as well. So yeah, thank you all for responding. Keep your eyes peeled for next week's Gaming Coffee Club question of the week for your chance to feature in the podcast. Our next story leads on nicely from the digital games chat we were just having there, and this is over at XDA. And Sony's dynamic pricing on the PlayStation Store is outraging gamers, and rightly so. I totally agree. So this article here, let's just read a little bit of this because this is really good. Well, it seems to have happened. Sony has won the console war once and for all. Their biggest competitor, Microsoft, is now sunsetting the Xbox as a dedicated console, with Project Helix being the swan song, and that too in the form of just a living room PC. Meanwhile, the coast is clear. Sony seems to be making significant moves, like pulling back their exclusives from PC, as well as trying out a new experimental form of pricing digital games on the PlayStation Store. And this is where it gets murky. Sony's new dynamic pricing experiment has not gone down well with the player base at all. Many players are outraged at how the online store seems to be rewarding them less for playing and purchasing more games under their new dynamic discount experiment. So what is this pricing experiment on the PlayStation Store? Sony is running an A/B pricing scheme in several regions, and we've got it highlighted here. Instead of every player seeing the exact same price for a game, the PlayStation Store may now show different discounts to different users at the same time. In simple terms, two people browsing the same game could be looking at two completely different prices. Whoa. So it says here, according to an initial report by PS Prices, Sony was testing elastic pricing in both directions. This was based off of what they discovered to be unusual offer structures for 139 different games in the PlayStation API across several regions like Europe, the Middle East, Asia, and more. Notably, the United States wasn't included in these regions running the A/B pricing experiment. Later, PS Prices corrected their statement to better represent their findings. The PlayStation Store was experimenting with elastic discounts, not MSRPs. This isn't regional pricing, that has existed all over the world. Instead, the price differences noted by users on the PlayStation Store have been in the same regions on similar devices with different accounts. Sony's experiment seems to be adjusting discounts based on factors like store activity and past purchasing behaviour. So one player might see a game discounted by 10%, while another might see a bigger percent for the exact same title. The product hasn't changed, but the price the store thinks you're willing to pay has. Why has this rubbed players the wrong way? Well, the backlash to PS Price's findings was almost immediate. At first, players might have misunderstood the problem, thinking Sony was increasing or decreasing prices for games for different users. Well, that was only the discounted prices that was experimenting with. The issue, however, still remains, and it comes down to a simple expectation that console players have always had. A digital game should cost the same for everyone. When you open the PlayStation Store, see a $70 game discounted to $49. The assumption has always been that every other player, at least in your own region, is looking at the same page and seeing the exact same number. Wow. There's also a philosophical problem attached here. Digital games aren't airline seats or rides during rush hour, since they are, by their very nature, infinite, reproducible. Their algorithm-driven price difference feels like a psychological pricing experiment rather than a marketing move. For many players, that crosses a line. I totally get that. This reminds me of, like, you know, when you get an Uber and it's really busy and you see surge pricing, you're paying more because there's less Ubers available. Digital games, by their nature, are infinite. They're not running out. So what is the need for prices adapting like this? And this to me is just another warning bell for the future with, digital games and digital subscriptions. We cannot rely on these people. Please wake up. Buy your games physically whenever you can. It gives you way better options, way better pricing power, because you'll see all the different storefronts, your Amazons, your Best Buys, your local stores, whatever. You'll be able to see who's offering the best price, especially when new games come out. When Resident Evil 9 Requiem was released here in the UK, you could pick it up on Amazon and a whole bunch of other retailers for like £48 pre-ordering it, which is way cheaper than the 70 it was on the PlayStation Store. And then that just saves you a fortune when it's every game doing this. Now, if we get to a future where it's digital only and you can only buy your games from the PlayStation Store, things are going to get more expensive. And this is just a little warning for what sort of thing they can be doing with, adapting the price based on a whole bunch of factors that they are tracking about you, which I don't like. I don't think that's a nice future. Let me know what you think about this, because I know this is just dynamic discounting right now, but who knows, in the future it might be even pushing the prices up for things. Nothing's off the table and companies are trying to make money off you. So I don't like this. I don't think it's cool. I think everyone should be treated the same here with this. And yeah, it's a warning bell. People, buy physical. More game chat. We have our game catalogue update for March 2026. And it's actually a really good one. But as ever, the PlayStation Plus curse strikes again. It got me. Space Marine 2. I literally bought this a couple of weeks ago. And it's now on the service. But I don't care, because I've got the physical game. I own it. I can do what I like with it. I can keep it. I can sell it on. Can pass it down to friends and family. It's a way to go. If I lose my account for some reason, I've still got the game and I can just put the disc in and play it. I'm not beholden to it or beholden to this subscription. But it's just, it always seems to happen to me. Anyways, enough moaning. Let's positive chat. Some good games here. Space Marine 2, absolute banger of a game. You could probably blast through this in a weekend. It's not a long campaign. There's multiplayer on there as well for you to check out. Madden 26, if you're into your American football, this is a big one. It's now available to play on PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium. You can also stream all of these games to your PlayStation Portal if you're a subscriber of PlayStation Plus Premium, which is cool. There is a little bit of a thing to be aware of here when it comes to streaming the games to your portal, though, as we've got Persona 5 Royale. You'll be able to stream this one, but the Ultimate Edition, which is also coming this month, you will not be able to stream this to your portal because it's the PlayStation 4 only version. So you need to download this to your PS5 console if you have one and play it via remote play that way. So awesome, massive RPG games. Persona 5 Royal, who cares? You know what I mean. Check it out. Awesome game. I played a decent bit of this on Xbox. I got this ages ago. It's so big though, easily 100 hours can be sunk into this game. So being able to play this on something like the Portal to work your way through whenever you get a chance is absolutely ideal. We've got Blasphemous 2, which looks like a really solid 2D platformer. Then we've got Metal Eden, which looks like a sci-fi version of Doom, really fast-paced sci-fi FPS, looks really good. I had never heard of this game, but I definitely want to check it out. If you're a Lord of the Rings fan, we've got Return to Moira, which I'm going to give a pass. I'm not a Lord of the Rings fan, so I'll be skipping by that. Astroneer. This looks like a fun sandbox to basically build and dig and create your little, what would you call this, outpost on your planet. Looks very cool. And then the one I'm excited for is this for PlayStation Plus Premium, Tekken Dark Resurrection, a PSP classic. I love the Tekken games. I love the Mishima storyline. And yeah, I'll be jumping into this one on the Portal for sure when it arrives. But my picks to play first, if you want to know what to dive into, definitely check out Space Marine 2 and Tekken Dark Resurrection. What do you think of this month's games? Are you happy about them? or not. I think this is a good month. I'm happy with this month. So let me know in the comments if you're happy about this and which one you'll be playing first. Now, this next story comes from Push Square, and this is an interesting one because this is like the world of physical games and digital games merging in a bad way. And they've went on and they've updated us that basically Crimson Desert, the physical copy of the game, so you see you buy this and it gets delivered, or you pick it up on this at the store, or it gets, delivered to you early, which we see happen with some games, and then they kind of break their street date inadvertently. The game won't play without a day one update. So this has caused a lot of debate online, and we've got someone on Twitter has posted, so Videotech UK has posted, Crimson Desert is the first game to lock down early disc copies. More publishers need to do this to prevent leaks, especially Rockstar Games. And then they've said, well done, Crimson Desert. Hopefully this becomes the norm. Now, I don't know who this person is, but I strongly disagree with this. I don't think this is a good thing. Physical games should be all on, in an ideal world, should be fully on disc, completely unlocked for like preservation purposes. And that's the point of physical games. You don't want it to have anything to do with, downloadable content and even like checking in, online. Just none of that. That is what you do not want. Push Square went on to say this is an extremely controversial comment in the face of criticism aimed at game keycards. On the Nintendo Switch, they're basically just plastic cartridges which are download tokens. You put it in and then it downloads the game, which I also think completely sucks. You want it fully on the cartridge. Basically rendering the preservation aspect of retail releases redundant. I get this because people forget, what about when these companies in the future, their servers go down or they take their servers offline, they're onto the PlayStation 7 or 8 by then or whatever it is. The game won't be able to be played or downloaded onto new systems, which just sucks. Like, I've got a whole bunch of PS1 games back there. I've got N64 games. They still work amazing to this day. That is what you want, people. And you might be young and think you don't want it now, but trust me, when you get a lot older, you'll be thinking, I can't wait to show my kid these games that I used to play and stuff like that. And you might not be able to do it. So trust me, just think a little bit bigger about it. But one user went on here to say, peak anti-accessibility, anti-consumer, pro-corpo glazing for precious spoilers that will mean nothing in terms of sales. Yuck. Fake physical releases shouldn't be the norm. Don't encourage this type of anti-consumer behaviour because there's more to games than their launch date. My dude hit the nail on the head there. Spot on. I totally agree with that. And then we've got another response from Does It Play, which is dedicated to the practice of game preservations. Does It Play's pretty good. They often post whether games have the full game on disc and stuff like that, or whether it's like basically a blank disc and you just download the games. They have said mandatory updates / DRM for physical games are supposedly okay to prevent spoilers, some claim. Think about what you're inviting here for a second. Loss of ownership and independence. If UPS delivers Jimmy's copy 2 days before yours, should we lock him up until you have yours? I know, it is kind of wild, this, about like literally all the spoilers and stuff like that. If you're buying like Resident Evil, a big new Resident Evil game, or like Wolverine or GTA 6 when it launches, and you know it's running by that launch time, just stay off the internet for a bit, people. Stay off your gaming website or whatever if you don't want spoilers, or stay off social media. It's always all over Twitter and stuff like that. I recommend you just delete Twitter anyway. It's full of shit. So yeah, I think this is just a bit mad. And I'm kind of surprised that there's anyone that thinks this is a good idea. The article goes on and says, this is a thorny issue because we understand the concerns around spoilers. Capcom recently had to plead with players not to share their experiences with Resident Evil 9 Requiem when physical copies made their way out into the wild a week before release. Right, so that happened, right? Did that impact Resident Evil Requiem sales? No, it's been massive. It's been a huge success. If the game's good, it ain't going to make a difference. to me, developers, that would be a worry if, maybe if their game actually sucks and they're like, oh, I don't want people knowing about this, before they get their hands on it. It won't make a difference. But mandatory downloads aren't the solution, in our opinion. That just diminishes the very real appeal of physical releases, so we can understand the pushback against the original post. Perhaps the solution here is to delay physical releases, wait until most bugs have been solved, and then print the most up-to-date version on disc. Players may be forced to wait or double dip, but it would prevent the spoiler issue and would ensure the best possible build of the game included on the actual disc. Right, I don't agree with that either. How about the developers just actually finish the game, make the game, stop relying on day one updates, day one patches, actually like scope their project effectively, work and deliver on the requirements. Don't be so ambitious that the thing, is just a broken mess when they launch it. Think about all these games we have. I know it's like, oh, back in my day, and its games are much smaller and they're way more complicated now and everything. I get that. But there's a huge element of project management here. How come some developers can launch games which are just amazing and are really well polished for day one? Others can't. Like, delay the release of the game. Just delay the release of the game. That's it. Simple. But I know there's then business impacts of that because, oh no, they're, they need to pay more people more money and they're not getting more money in because the game hasn't released. It's like, no, they should not release a game digitally. This idea of release a game digitally first and then release the physical one a couple of weeks or months later once all the bugs are fixed, that's just going to drive more people to digital adoption and eliminate physical adoption even more. How about you just release a fully finished product on the disc? End of. What do you think about this? This is an interesting topic, and with Crimson Desert being a pretty big game which is launching soon, it's going to be interesting to see how this goes down and how this impacts things. So what are you all playing this week on your PlayStations? Let me know. I'm back onto Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I played Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, loved it. Went to go on to Expedition 33. I didn't actually have the copy on PlayStation 5. I had it on Xbox Game Pass. Played the prologue, thought this is going to be amazing. The story had hooked me already. Stopped playing on Xbox. Ordered my physical copy, which has arrived for PlayStation 5 Pro. In the meantime, while I was waiting for that, I played Dispatch, which is fantastic. Just an absolute indie gem. Go and check it out, people. And then I'm now back on to Clair Obscur Expedition 33 on my PlayStation 5 Pro. So that's what I'll be playing for, geez, God knows how long till I get through it. Whenever I get time, I'll be diving on to progress on that game. I want to know what you're all playing. I love just chatting to you all about games. So let me know. And that also wraps up another episode, another week in PlayStation news here on the Gaming Coffee Club, episode number 20. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, with even more news. And in the meantime, happy gaming.